Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Professor Devendra Mohan from Department of Physics, Guru Jambheshwar University of Science and Technology, Hisar in Haryana. We'll be talking about laser systems under the paper Atomic, Molecular and Laser Spectroscopy. After completing this, we'll be able to give the answers to the question why 4-level laser systems is better than 3-level, anti-Jagg laser, helium neon laser. So this under this we'll be able to have 3 laser systems, basically anti-Jagg laser system and neodymium doped glass laser system and helium neon lasers. Why 4-level laser system is better than 3-level system? In one of the previous models we have understood the 3-level laser system that we discussed about ruby laser. However, 4-level laser system is better than the 3-level laser system in order to have good efficiency. In the 4-level laser system, the atoms from ground state E1 are raised to excited state E4 with the help of pumping, and thereafter the atoms decay to energy state E3, which is a metastable state, by spontaneous emission from the E4. The transition rate of atoms from E4 to E3 is much faster as compared to that of atoms from E3 to E2. This is because that E4 is an excited state with the lifetime of the atoms of the order of 10⁻⁻8 seconds. The rates of relaxation of the atoms from E2 to E1 need to be faster than the arrival of atoms from E4 or E2. The population inversion is achieved between E3 and E2 that gives the stimulated emission and hence the laser. The atoms from E2 de-excite to E1 and again pump to E4. In the 3-level system, E2 lies in between E3 and E1, so E2 becomes a metastable state, and let n be number of electrons in the system that occupies these 3 energy levels. Let n1 be number of electrons in energy state E1, n2 in energy state E2 and n3 in energy state E3. The excited energy state E2 is highly populated as compared to the excited energy state E3, and therefore n1 is greater than n2 is greater than n3. The lifetime of electrons in the energy state E3 is extremely small as compared to the lifetime of electrons in the energy state E2. Therefore, electrons in the energy level E3 does not stay for longer period, and these quickly fall to metastable state, which is E2, and releases radiation less energy instead of photons, and hence the efficiency goes down. Anti-Jagg laser, basically this comes under the category of neodymium lasers. Neodymium lasers are amongst the most popular type of solid-state lasers. Solid-state lasers use ions suspended in a crystal or glass as their active medium. The ions or dopants provide the electrons for excitation, while the crystalline matrix propagates the energy between the ions. In 1960, L.F. Johnson and K. Nassau demonstrated the first neodymium laser in which neodymium ions were doped in calcium tungstate CaWO4. In 1964, J.E. Gatek, H.M. Markov and L.G. Van Utrecht demonstrated the anti-Jagg laser at Bell Laboratories. The Jagg crystal means Jagg stands for yttrium, aluminum, garnet, with chemical formula Y3Al5O12 that has emerged as efficient laser gain host and as substrate for optical compounds. And neodymium, having atomic number Z is equal to 60, is a chemical element that belongs to rare earth metals. In laser technology, it is widely used in the form of Nd3+ ion as the laser active dopant of gain media based on various host materials, including both crystals and glasses. The anti-Jagg laser is a solid-state laser in which Nd+3 ions act as activator and Jagg serves as host material. It produces a strongest emission at a wavelength of 1.06 micrometer, or the fundamental frequency is popularized as 1064 nanometers. The doping concentration for NdYAG crystal is of the order of 1% by weight of host material, because if heavy doping is done, it leads to stains in the crystal, and this doping level makes the transparent YAG crystal to look pale purple in color, as absorption bands of Nd3+1 ion lies in the red region. The structure of NdYAG laser: in it, the pumping source are classified as flash lamp pumped Q switched NdYAG laser. It is a pulse laser. Pumping in this configuration is done by krypton lamp. And flash lamp pumped CW NdYAG laser. Pumping in this configuration is done by xenon lamp. Actually, it is not a purely CW laser, but it is a pulse laser with high repetition rate of the order of 20 kilohertz with 200 to 300 nanosecond pulses with an average power equivalent to 15 watt. Diode pumped NdYAG laser. This is currently developed compact diode pumped NdYAG laser. In this case, gallium arsenide diode acts as a diode pumping source. Most of the applications of diode pumped NdYAG laser are in green portion of spectrum, so its first harmonic is mainly used. Efficiency of this configuration is better than others. The schematic diagram of flash lamp pumped NdYAG laser is shown over here. There is a crystal of NdYAG, and pumping source used in this is flash lamp and cavity made up of mirrors. Excitation mechanism: the electronic configuration of neodymium is 4f16s2 and the ground state configuration of Nd3 plus is 4f3. There are three main interactions to be considered. Inter-electronic Coulomb interaction. The inter-electron Coulomb interaction has the effect of splitting the electron configuration into a number of levels. Spin-orbit interaction. The spin-orbit interaction predominate over crystal field interaction that splits up the term energy levels into multiple. The ground state term 4I corresponding to L is equal to 6, S is equal to 3 by 2 is splitted into J equal to 15 by 2, 13 by 2, 11 by 2, 9 by 2 states, in which J is equal to 9 by 2 is the lowest lying state, and the 4F state corresponding to L is equal to 3, S is equal to 3 by 2 splits into J is equal to 9 by 2, 7 by 2, 5 by 2, 3 by 2, where J is equal to 3 by 2 is the lowest lying level. Considering the crystal field interaction, the crystal field effect gives a further splitting of multiplets. 4F3 by 2 splits into two levels, R1 and R2. R2 is 88 centimeter inverse above R1, and 4I11 by 2 splits into 6 levels. The lifetime of 4F3 by 2 is 230 microsecond, while that of 4I11 by 2 is 30 nanosecond. The two main pump bands occur at 0.73 micrometer and 0.8 micrometer respectively. These bands are coupled by a fast non-radiative decay 10⁻⁻7 second to 4F3 by 2 levels. This means that the level 4F3 by 2 accumulate a large fraction of pump energy and is therefore a good candidate as the upper laser level for laser action. It should also be noted that laser action can be obtained using suitably dispersive system in the laser cavity at several other wavelengths corresponding to various 4F3 by 2 to 4I11 by 2 transitions, where one gets the wavelength from 1.05 to 1.1 micrometer, and 4F3 by 2 to 4I13 by 2 transitions, where one gets the lambda of 1.319 micrometer being the strongest one in this case, and 4F3 by 2 to 4I9 by 2 one gets the lambda corresponding to 0.95 micrometer. Level 4I11 by 2 is then coupled by a very fast non-radiative decay to 4I9 by 2 level. The energy difference between these levels is almost an order of magnitude larger than kT. It means that the thermal equilibrium between these two levels is very rapidly established, and according to Boltzmann's statistics, level 4I11 by 2 may be a good approximation, be considered to be always empty, and therefore acts as a lower laser level. The laser action occurs from the sublevel R2 of 4F3 by 2 splitted due to crystal electric field or Stark effect to a particular sublevel of 4I11 by 2. The transition 4F3 by 2 to 4I11 by 2 occurs at lambda is equal to 1.064. This is the wavelength, so near infrared. As this transition has highest value of transition cross section, sigma is equal to 8.8 into 10 to the power minus 19 centimeter square. It turns out to be the strongest transition and has larger gain. This wavelength of 1.06 micrometer laser transition is homogeneously broadened at room temperature of 300 degree Kelvin owing to interactions with lattice phonons, and this makes ND-YAG laser a good candidate for mode locking operations. The long lifetime of upper laser level, that means tau of 230 microsecond, also makes ND-YAG very suitable for quiz switching operations. There are applications for ND-YAG laser. The most common application of ND-YAG laser is to pump the dye lasers. That means dye laser can be pumped, optical pumped by ND-YAG laser. High power pulse version are also used for X-ray production. ND-YAG lasers are also employed to make subscribe markings in transparent materials such as glass or acrylic glass. Material processing, it is used for drilling, spot welding, because they can be focused to a very small spot. Very precise welding or very precise drilling can be done. In medical applications, surgery such as membrane cutting, gallbladder surgery, gastrointestine bleeding, and soft tissue surgeries in the oral cavity. These lasers are used in laser hair removal as well, and in treatment of defects such as spider veins on the face or the legs. Military applications, these are used for range finding and target destinations. Electronical applications, these are used in memory repair as well as in cutting out circuits. Cavity ring down spectroscopy, the ND-YAG is used to measure the concentration of some light absorbing substances. Laser induced breakdown spectroscopy is being done with the help of ND-YAG laser in the analysis of elements of the periodic table. Scientific and laboratory applications, in this case quiz switch lasers with their second harmonic, that means lambda 532, and third harmonic lambda 355, and fourth harmonic lambda 266 nanometer, as well as mode locked lasers are commonly used. Now, mechanism of population inversion. The helium neon laser is run by exciting a discharge in a tube containing a mixture of helium and neon in ratios ranging from 10:1 to 5:1, whereas the optimum ratio is found to be 7:1. The gas pressure is about 1 torr. Helium gas is used to selectively populate the neon levels. The electron impact with the helium atoms in the discharge raises them to various states. In the normal cascade of these excited helium atoms, many of them collect in metastable 2,1s and 2,3s levels. As the only lower lying state is 1,1s ground singlet, no transition from 2,3s to 1,1s is optically allowed. These metastable states of helium nearly coincide in energy with the 3s and 2s states of neon. The 2,3s state of helium lies over only 300 centimeter inverse, corresponding to 0.039 electron volt above 2s2 level of neon, and 2,1s state of helium lies about 375 centimeter inverse, 0.048 electron volt below the 3s2 level of neon. The almost close coincidence of metastable levels of helium and 2s and 3s levels of neon indicates that collisions of second kind are effective in populating these levels of neon. The excitation process can be represented by the equations as helium excited gives you that neon along with. The small differences in energy are taken up by the kinetic energy of the atoms after collision. This is the main pumping mechanism in the helium neon laser. The upper laser levels 3s and 2s have lifetimes of 10 to the power minus 8 seconds, and hence the conditions are suitable for laser action that exists. Now, helium neon laser can operate in 3 different spectral regions. Its operation in red at 0.6328 micrometer is used for various applications when it is to be used for alignment, interferometry, data processing, holography, etc. The visible helium neon laser radiation at 0.6328 micrometer arises from the 3s to 2p4 transition. The terminal 2p group of levels decays radiatively with a life of about 10 to the power minus 8 seconds to the long-lived 1s state. Because of the long life of 1s state, atoms in this state tend to collect with time. These atoms collide with electrons in the discharge and are excited back into the lower laser level 2p4, that thus reduces the inversion and can even quench it. And to avoid this, the atoms in 1s state are brought to ground state by collisional de-excitation is found to increase with the decreasing tube diameters. The gain depends on the pressure of the gas. The optimum gain is obtained when the product of pressure and tube diameter is in the range of 2.9 to 3.66 torr millimeter. The gain at 0.6328 micrometer doesn't increase linearly with the length of the tube as expected. The reason for this is that the high gain at 3.39 micrometer results in super radiant operation of the length is sufficiently long. This gain coupling can even quench the operation at this wavelength. For this reason, dispersive elements to suppress gain at 3.39 micrometer are used when high power operation at 6328 is desired. The output of helium neon laser shows a strong dependence on the discharge current. The figure shows a schematic of helium neon laser. The laser consists of a laser head and a power supply. The laser head is either an internal mirrors or an external mirrors configuration. The small lasers are usually of internal mirrors type, wherein the mirrors are permanently sealed at the end of the tube. The laser output is randomly polarized in this case. In an external mirrors laser head, the Brewster windows are attached at the ends of the tube to contain the gas mixture. The Brewster windows have 100% transmittance, excluding very small absorption and scattering losses for the p-polarized component, thereby providing linearly polarized output. The orientation of the linearly polarized beam can be varied either by rotating the tube in the housing or the laser itself. By introducing loss by misalignment, the laser is made to oscillate in the fundamental TEM00 mode. The tube may be made up of Pyrex. The straightness of the bore is a prime requirement. Some of the recent lasers use tube of tapered bore, particularly in hemispherical configuration. The power supply maintains the discharge in the tube. The discharge can be maintained by a DC source or an RF source. A ballast resistance to control the current in the laser is mounted very near to the anode. All laser supplies are high voltage supplies and care should be exercised while using the lasers. The tube containing helium neon gas mixture is placed between a pair of mirrors. One mirror is completely reflecting and the other mirror, called the output mirror, is partially transmitting. The mirrors constitute a cavity or a resonator. In a Fabry-Perot resonator, both the mirrors are plane. In one of the mirrors is flat and other has a radius of curvature equal to mirrors separation. A hemispherical resonator results. Though a large number of resonator configurations are like confocal, spherical, hemispherical, some of them are stable, and the helium neon laser uses a stable resonator configuration. A beam bounces back and forth between the mirrors. If the population inversion between two levels has been established and the gain is more than the losses in the cavity, a laser beam is produced. A mode of a resonator can be defined as a self-consistent field configuration, that is, the optical field distribution reproduces itself after one round trip in the resonator. The modes of a resonator are transverse electromagnetic waves with definite transverse irradiance distributions. A mode pattern is characterized by two integers m and n. Thus TEM, mn, that are the number of zeros in the field along x and y directions. A TEM00 mode is the fundamental mode and has least diffraction loss. The irradiance distribution of TEM00 mode is Gaussian in any cross section of the beam. The laser usually works in TEM00 mode. A passive plane parallel mirrors configuration can support infinitely large longitudinal modes that are separated by c by 2l, where c is the velocity of light and l is the mirror separation. When the gain medium is enclosed, only those modes that lie within the line profile and have sufficient gain are supported. The output of the laser may therefore consist of a number of longitudinal modes separated by c by 2l. If the laser cavity is small, maybe around 14 cm long, only one longitudinal mode is supported and the output of the laser would be of a single frequency. The frequency of the laser can be stabilized by keeping the cavity length constant. The temporal coherence of the laser is then extremely long. Measurement of separation of longitudinal modes. As it is known that the longitudinal modes are separated by c by 2l in frequency, l being the cavity length. This can be done using Fabry-Perot Italian of approximately 10 cm length. It is illuminated by divergent beam. Circular fringes will be observed that belong to each mode. There can be mode shift with the warming up of laser, and therefore the mode shift induces motion of these rings that can be analyzed. Why the windows of laser are kept at Brewster angle, particularly in helium neon laser? The windows of laser are kept at Brewster angle with respect to the long axis of the tube. The light that strikes the surface of window at Brewster angle is partially transmitted and partially reflected. The reflected light has component of polarization perpendicular to the plane of incidence. That is, horizontally polarized light is rejected by reflection at the window. So one gets the vertical polarized light which is transmitted and goes repeated reflections between the mirrors. The light emerging from the laser is thus vertical polarized. So, summarizing what we have learned in this model is the model undertake laser systems and discussed about the superiority of 4-level laser system in comparison to 3-level laser system. Nd:YAG and helium neon lasers are both 4-level laser systems. Those have been discussed. In helium neon laser, the windows of lasers are kept at Brewster angle in order to have vertically polarized output. Thank you.